So welcome to the introductory section of the GDG Android Lagos. So excited for everybody to be here. Let me share my screen so that I can explain some things. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Cool. Yes. So GDG Android Lagos, right? Let me put this in presentation mode. So basically it's community that we're trying to bring up to, because of several people have been saying that there's no Android community. And then we're trying to see how we can actually put this together to have a community for Android, starting off with Lagos and maybe even going to Nigeria. But basically focus on Lagos for now, right? And this community is actually going to be a community which is led by the community itself. So it's not like the major decision makers are not necessarily going to be the organizers, but it's actually what the community wants to do that's actually going to be done. So every one of you on this call, every single person that is also going to join in future actually has their own different parts in playing to make this community what it can be, as fruitful as it can be. So the aim, as I may have mentioned a bit, is to improve the knowledge base of the Android developers that we have here in Lagos and in Nigeria, and also to build a vibrant Android community. Um, we all know that as seconds goes by, the Android ecosystem keeps on bringing new and new features and new technologies, a new way of doing things, right? And it has been a whole lot to the extent that it is very difficult for a single individual to actually keep up. And so the aim is to, and so the aim is actually to find a way to, how can we learn all these things? It's going to be impossible. But then having different ways in which different people can also share their ideas will be alternatives or faster ways of actually gaining that same knowledge. And so we plan on trying to do something I call the divide and conquer approach, where we have knowledge sharing sessions, right? Because we have people that may specialize in different areas of Android or maybe good in different areas. And when they come to share that the knowledge, somebody else from a different section or from a different category can be able to quickly learn or understand what this other section has to do, right? And also with the aim of having like things called like an annual Android developer summit. Something similar happens in other countries, right? We have the Android summit that happens somewhere. I can't really remember the place. We also have the this Google one, the Android Dev Summit that all happens by Google also. And so rather than us trying to say we want to create a Joy-Con in Nigeria, we can actually create ours that will actually help us grow, right? Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So those are like some of the objectives that we can do to achieve that aim. And just to throw out, if you, at the end of this mini talk, I'm going to seek you guys feedback, you guys contributions, because we need as much as possible to be able to make this work. So we talked about the structure, how the structure of the team should be, and we said, oh yes, let us divide the teams into 4 different categories. People that are going to specialize in these 4 categories. So basically, what this entails, if you may have already realized is that these 4 categories are based on the jetpack components, right? Which is foundation, architecture, behavior, and UI. And this is a whole lot of things. We know that these are the new, like the future generations of Android's components of what they want to keep on developing. So it will be a good thing to actually kick off from there and start learning. I also believe we actually already have some prior knowledge of Android foundations. And so going back to start from those places may be an overhead, But then there are still plans for going back to some topics that we want to do a deeper dive into. But starting and trying to grow as the Android community is growing, we want to start with these 4 basic categories. And so every person that is going to be like in the Android community is going to choose at least one of these categories to specialize in, and then everybody in that category will form a team. Yeah, and then for sessions, it will be team-based talks. I've already talked about how the teams are going to be, and it will be about sharing knowledge that they have gotten from making those research on different topics under their own category. For example, say I'm in the UI team, right? And then my team has, these are like some bullet points of things we're supposed to learn. But basically from time to time, we get to meet and we say, okay, we want to focus on Jetpack Compose today or for this month. And then we actually start researching. And at the end of the month, we come to give a talk. And that's what I mean by team-based talk. Sharing that knowledge to every other person in other teams and making them gain from it. And then we also have the experience-based talks. And these are things that you gain from your personal or your work projects, right? And you can see some resources I shared here, and this can be things that has to do with the Android platform or like developer tools or other core Android topics. And these are similar to what I was talking about earlier, which are some foundations of Android that most of us already know, but some of them may not be 100% clear for us. And so we will need to, from time over time, revisit those things. For example, how do you handle background tags? What are the best practices of handling background tags, right? So all those core topics are things that we'll also discuss. So for the timeline for 2019, the year 2019 is almost over. And so we don't really have much to do. So in November, the plan or the aim is to get people into teams and create like a culture or strategies that each team will work with, right? And then more details will happen in those team levels actually. And then hopefully, if everything goes well, we can actually see how we could have like our first meetup in December, more of introduction, and then we have a team or we have a topic that is going to be discussed. So December meetup is going to be more of introduction and more of having some other teams that may have also started their own knowledge gathering or research or deep work to present what they have. So our sessions are also sessions for each. So the structure is to actually to have a meetup once every month, right? So as you can see, the timeline for 2020, we have a meetup once every month, which is pretty much going to be on the Saturday of the 4th week of the month, right? The time of each of those events are yet to be decided. They will be decided prior to that time. But the aim of having this date at the back of our mind is so that in case everybody also has other engagements, but then you can be sure that every 4th Saturday of the month, you're going to have your Android developer meetup. So you could actually try creating schedule for this because it won't be productive if we're off and on. It's going to be productive if we're always there. Yes, and based on locations, as some of you may have realized, I also asked for your location when filling up the registration form. The aim is to be able to make the meetup not be in a single location, but in different locations so that it won't only be to the advantage of one person every time, so that we can actually have meetup locations that are closer to where you live. But then I will need a lot of recommendations. We'll need a lot of recommendations from you guys to actually know different halls or different hubs or different company spaces, offices that we can actually use. So as much as possible, please throw them at me, so that I can actually know how we can actually cater for those case scenarios. And I've not described the sessions. The sessions for each meetup they're going to be 4 sessions, right? So it's going to either be one team presenting 4 different topics, or it's going to be 4 different teams, which are the foundation, behavior, UI, and architecture, presenting one topic. But that will be decided at the end of this meeting from everybody. Is there anything I'm missing out? No. Okay. Yes. So what are the benefits, right? Vast knowledge gain in Android framework. As I earlier stated, you have limited time to go deep work into some of these components, all right? So if for example, I go deep work into UI, I'm going to be very good in UI, but I may not have time to go deep work into foundation or into architectures, but somebody else can have that time, and that person coming to share that knowledge of different edge cases, use cases, and problems the person encountered will help me actually learn more about those other categories faster than I would have done by myself because I actually have limited time, right? And last but not the least is information. There are several people on this call, there are several people in the Android community that have access to information that could actually help us better our career growth. But nobody can just randomly come up to you and say, hey, I have this offer, or hey, there's so and so things. It's when you actually meet and you communicate with people, you have discussions, you argue about things, you laugh about things, and then you're in a comfortable zone. That's when some of these informations can just pop up, and you never know. They're like very better job opportunities, or even how to get a job at Google for those of you who want to be Googlers, and different other things that could also help us grow. This is like the area, this is like the space where you can actually gain that information. Yeah, and so we've come to the end. So questions and contributions I require from everybody now. We just have like 10 minutes before this call ends. So I would like to get, do we have ideas for the time of the meetup? What I mean by time is it going to be from 10? It's pretty much going to be 4 hours, which is 3 hours of talk and 1 hour of relaxation, right? But do we have those preferred time you should start on those Saturdays?
So, quick question. Does the meetup have to be like a physical meetup, or you can do online meetup with your group members?
Okay. Yes. So for group members, you can, if you're having a meeting with your team, it can be anyway, right? Because that is not really communicating with the main Android, the monthly meetups. But for monthly meetups, right now we want to see how it can be physical, right? But the goal is also to see several situations where we may be able to do it remotely. For example, we're considering a point in time where, let's say we want to have the meetups on Friday evenings, or maybe not only Saturdays, maybe we want to have it during a weekday. But Lagos is the stressful place for saying that to have a meetup on a weekday because there's too much traffic. People won't be able to make it, right? So that those kind of situations, we want to consider having a remote option where we can actually have this thing online. But the challenges I've gotten so far is, let's say we're 50 people attending this. Zoom can contain 50 people, but it's a paid plan. You have to pay for a plan for it to even last more than 30 minutes, right? So there are some constraints, but I think this is something we're going to do. I'm very positive about it. We just look for different ways to get funds to actually pay for this thing. But I believe it's something we're going to do. But let's differentiate the meetings from our meetups. Our meetups are for everybody. But then for the meetups or the meetings you have with your specific teams, those ones will be dependent on how each team member wants to actually go about it. Yeah. I don't know if that clarifies the point, Delvin.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Yeah, so do we have any other question?
So if you're going to have meetups in different locations, so is there a time when everyone will come together for a whole, like maybe Android Summit, maybe an extended Android Summit event where everyone comes together?
Okay, yes. So sorry, I think I may have confused. I may have been confused some people. So the area, what I meant by different locations, changing locations, I mean that in January, everybody can confine in a hub in the island, right? for everybody. All our meetups are for everybody. It's not different locations on a particular day. It's just that January meetup can be on the island. February meetup must not necessarily be on the island. It can be on the mainland. Even in the mainland, there's Surulere, there's Yaba, there is Oshodi, there is like different places that we can actually think of hosting this meetup.
Offices.
So in summary, all our meetups, everybody, there's no separation in meetups. There's only separation when you're trying to meet with your teams, but there's no separation when you're having your meetups. Everybody's together. Yes.
Okay, also, just the time could be maybe from maybe 10 a.m. to 2.
Okay. Okay. And does anybody have any counter suggestion?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you kind of like repeat that, Valentine?
Okay. He said,
Okay, what I meant is that, okay, the time for meetups, I'm suggesting we have it between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. That's 4 hours.
I'm saying 10 a.m. is too early on Saturday. A lot of people have only Saturdays.
Okay. So 11 or are you looking at 12? Was in the afternoon might be too hot, and those periods are usually not very cool. And then, okay. So maybe like suggest. What do you think?
I think maybe from 12 will be fine on Saturday. That's my suggestion, no? Because I'm just saying, like, if I have to go to work every day, Monday to Friday, and on Saturday I need to leave by 10 a.m. I come back by 2. So we need to do some house chores and a couple of other things. So making 12 might be like, yeah, a good one. But that's just for me. That's speaking on behalf of like people that go to work every day.
yeah. So cool suggestions, right? I'm going to take all that into consideration, and I'm going to send out something like a form later on for everybody to choose your time, and then we'll finally decide based on like the majority, because there's no time. 5 minutes left. So topics for meetups. The question now is, do we want one team to present 4 different topics, or do we want 4 different teams to present one topic on the days of our meetups?
I would like the letter also.
Okay. Any other counter suggestion or suggestion that is for?
The later is much better. Like we get to learn more.
Okay. Cool. I think that's finalized there. Yeah. So, do we have any other questions? Any other forms of contributions to what we can do to this community? Just to add, there are some things that will come up later on for beginners Android. We're thinking of something related to cohorts, but the major aim right now is to start with this and see how it goes. But do we have any other form of contribution?
This community we are forming now. No, there's an Android Nigeria community. Is it like a?
No. So this is the branch of GDG Lagos.
Okay, GDG.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Alrighty.
So we have a plan on getting sponsors to sponsor the meetup.
Yes, yes, and that's why I said I need your recommendations as much as possible in terms of venues we can use, in terms of people that we can actually reach out to get sponsorship from. And everybody here is working for a company, right? So maybe you have ideas of how your companies can help, please Slack me or send me a message on WhatsApp, and then let's just try facilitating that process, because we need to kick off fully by December, January, hopefully December. So as soon as these things can happen, we can do it well. But then potentially the date for December's meetup may be second week. I'm thinking it's either going to be second week because of third week, fourth week. People may have traveled. People may want to rest and things like that. But like the meetup, I don't think it should be something too serious. I just think it should be something so it may not even be team-based. Yes, we may have more experience-based talks there and more fun, engaging things to just make us socialize. That will pretty much be the aim for December meetup. And then from January, we can start having the team-based team-based sessions. Yes, so if there's no other question, I guess that comes to the end of this meeting. But yes, feel free to send me a message at any point in time if you have any other question or contributions. And then I will reach out to you, everyone, shortly to gain more insights on several specific things like collecting data for which team you want to join. And I'm also going to share out this slide to everyone. Yes, so this will be accessible. Even this video will be accessible to people that could not join the Hangout, the call. And so thanks everyone for your time. Thanks for joining. Sorry, quick acknowledgement of people. We have Valentine Ofebu, who works at AppZone, yeah? Yeah, we have Abdul, who's team lead of Android at Softcom. We have Abdurrahman, who knows as Cafilicious, right? I don't know where you work with. Ayokunle, Paul, Softcom people, great, Softcom, and I, Carbon. And Belvi that is our guy that has gone to another country. Thank you guys for joining. Have a wonderful weekend.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye.